How do you start your morning? Remember the movie Predator starring Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Get to the chopper!
Well, if you substituted the film's homicidal antagonist for a ginger sex offender with a lisp, swapped the victims from Marines to prostitutes, and then changed the location from Guatemala to Alaska, then you'd have a kick-ass action flick about serial killer Robert Hansen. Robert Hansen was born in Estherville, Iowa on February 15th, 1939.
It's Iowa.
A social outcast, especially with the opposite sex,
Luther, you freak!
he became obsessed with getting back at people and the things he felt had wronged him. Hansen was no idiot. You don't launch a revenge campaign in your small hometown, especially if your high school peers voted you most likely to go on a murder spree. Not to mention, there wasn't even a single prostitute in sight.
It's Iowa.
So he just burned down a school bus depot instead and was immediately shipped off to prison. Pro tip: if you spend years telling everyone in town that you're hell-bent on revenge against the Board of Education,
they're all gonna pay the ultimate price.
Don't be surprised when the police show up at your door when the local school bus depot burns to the ground. After being released from prison, Hansen knew it was time to move to a new state and start afresh. And he knew exactly where he was headed.
Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano.
He moved to Anchorage and established himself as a successful baker. But unless you're Timothy Treadwell,
come here and try to do what I do, you will die. You will die here. You will frickin' die here.
Or I guess like an old prospector maybe.
Oh, peaches!
There's not much to do in Alaska on your days off besides like hunting and fucking. Which is perfect for Hansen, as hunting and fucking were his favorite hobbies. In fact, Hansen liked hunting and fucking so much that he combined the two and created his own sport.
How many alpine snipers are into this?
He even set a handful of local legal hunting records in the community.
$3. You got it.
But unfortunately, those records would be overshadowed in '84 by some of his illegal hunting records.
That's a triple.
Ladies, I want you to picture something for a moment. Imagine a successful pillar of the community flying you in his private plane to his cottage deep in the mountains. Sounds pretty romantic. It worked for the Tinder swindler, right? You know, that handsome guy who swept women off their feet with luxury, style, and wealth before fucking them, both literally and figuratively. Well, Hansen had a similar MO, but when you look like a lumberjack who got turned out in prison,
Ugly motherfucker.
you have to get a little creative. Instead of style and personality,
Bond. James Bond.
he relied on a pistol and handcuffs to lure unsuspecting women. But unfortunately, not all of his dates found this aggressive approach to be all that romantic.
On the early morning of June 13th, 1983, Cindy Paulson, age 17, ran down an Anchorage highway.
Ever since Hansen stepped foot in Anchorage, dancers and prostitutes began disappearing in droves from the streets and the strip clubs. So when police got word of a half-naked woman screaming and running down the street with a pair of handcuffs attached to one wrist, they were immediately suspicious and brought her in for questioning. She told the police everything.
She was real credible.
She described him as wiry, scruffy, about 6 feet tall, with glasses and a stutter.
Yeah, and that's not all. She said the man drove her to his middle-class home located in a respectable suburb. She described the interior, including a den that looked like, you know, animal heads mounted on every square inch of the wall, a large chain hanging from the ceiling to suspend victims from. It was like a cross between Norman Bates' office and that pawn shop scene from Pulp Fiction, only with a pervert in a flannel shirt instead of a gimp suit. After a few hours, she said the LARPing lumberjack took her to an airstrip. And apparently, when she saw him loading a rifle and crossbow into the plane, She knew the romantic weekend in the mountains he promised was all a lie. Eventually, she saw an opportunity to escape and bolted from the vehicle. She told police she was confident she could point out the plane and insisted they take her to the airstrip.
While we were in there, we had a security guard stop us and described the car the same way that Cindy described the car, and in fact gave us a license number. That license number confirmed the address, or the area at least, that Cindy had given us regarding where the house was.
So, they go to Hansen's home, and it's exactly as the woman described it.
This is a lovely room of death.
But Hansen, he just denied everything and insisted that the police take a look around. Come on in, fellas, have a look. I mean, the crimes were committed like 6 hours before that. I mean, I guess that's not nearly enough time to, run a vacuum over the carpet and tidy up a few things.
You better let me tidy up a bit, boys.
And even though Hansen's victim picked him out of a photo lineup, the cops were just like, fuck it. This guy's obviously clean. He's a baker, and she's a prostitute. Do you know a better place to get a Boston cream in town? No. Then keep your mouth shut.
Attention all units. Attention all units.
Officer Greg Baker was no scientist,
This sounds insane, but hear me out.
but he had a sneaking suspicion that it might just be possible to bend over and pick up a pair of handcuffs and a revolver within a 6-hour window. Even though the case was closed, Officer Baker set about personally collecting any evidence he could against Hansen. And one day, just like that, he was struck by a revolutionary idea. Why not look into this Hansen guy's background?
This changes everything.
He was involved in theft cases. He was involved in abductions, psychiatric evaluations showing him to be really unstable and having all kinds of weird sexual fantasies and the rest.
Okay, so now they're on to something. Finally, Hansen was beginning to look like a good match for the missing girls around Anchorage. But there was still one problem.
Though Hansen was a violent sex offender, his record indicated nothing about being capable of homicide.
Wait. What? Wouldn't that be a step in the right direction? I mean, I get that there's no concrete evidence linking him to the missing girls yet, but if being a violent sex offender doesn't make you capable of homicide, what does? You're telling me that the guy with a history of kidnapping and violent sexual assault is just an afterthought in this case? The guy whose appearance, home, plane, and car were all accurately described by a terrified, half-naked, handcuffed prostitute. He still is not your prime suspect? I don't know what to tell you. No, I guess not.
I don't see it.
All they knew was that 3 women were dead, 12 were missing, and 1 was pointing her finger directly at Robert Hansen. To get a better idea of who could be capable of such crimes, the Anchorage Task Force handed FBI profilers all of the files they had on Hansen. And it wasn't long before a compelling profile landed back on their desk.
The killer would be an avid outdoorsman, had low self-esteem, had difficulty talking to women, and grew up feeling like an outcast.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And get this, the profile even went a step further and said that the suspect might have a lisp or a speech impediment. Check. A history of arson. Check. And is most definitely fucked in the head. Double check. It was Robert Hansen to a T. The police finally got their warrant and brought Hansen in for questioning.
Crime scene photos and related materials were strewn everywhere for Hansen to contemplate before his interview.
But Hansen wouldn't budge. Sure, he admitted to picking up prostitutes and slapping them around a little when they had the audacity to demand payment, but he never admitted to kidnapping and flying them to the wilderness to hunt them for sport. But fuck him. In his home, they found a treasure trove of evidence, including a map of the Alaskan wilderness, complete with 37 X's.
3 points on the map found in his bedroom matched the locations of bodies recovered by the troopers.
But the most compelling evidence was found in his attic.
.223 Ruger Mini 14 rifle, like the one used to kill Sherry Morrow and Paula Goulding, and a wood-handled revolver resembling the one described by Cindy Paulson.
The final nail in the coffin was when police discovered Hansen's stash of trophies that he took from the missing and murdered women. With the evidence now stacked up against him, Hansen agreed to confess to 4 murders on one condition: that there be no press, his family be left alone, and that he be imprisoned outside of Alaska. Okay, I mean, it's actually more like 3 requests, but whatever. The police would break every single one of them anyway. If police agreed to only charge him for 4 murders, he'd show them where other bodies were buried. Why did he care so much about only being charged with 4 murders? Am I missing something here? Like, you're going away for life after like 1 or 2 murders. Would 5 be any different? 10, 20 at that point? You're already in for, what's the difference? I don't understand. But anyways, over the next 8 months, Hansen helped the police recover an additional 11 bodies. All in all, he's suspected of killing between 17 and 21 women between 1980 and 83.
Robert Hansen was convicted of murdering 4 women and sentenced to 461 years plus life with no chance of parole.
So, what do you think? Were the police reluctant to consider Hansen a suspect because he owned and operated the best donut shop in town? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to murder that subscribe button and click that notification bell, because we've got new content dropping all the time. And if you just can't get enough, you can head over and follow on Instagram and TikTok for even more killer content.